You've just rolled up to In the Mind of JT, where the whiskey's strong, the opinions are stronger, and there's no filter in sight. We're talking no holds barred, people. I am JT, Marine, biker, musician, and unapologetic patriot. I love my country and all things fast, loud, and wild. And if you came here looking for a smooth ride, you're in the wrong motherfucking place. Buckle up. Let's get it done. It's time to dive into the chaos that's inside my mind. So, all right, before we get into anything, okay, I gotta set the stage here because if you've been riding with me for a while, you're gonna notice some changes, right? New name, new studio, new sound. I got new music. And initially I was talking about doing this as kind of like a rebrand, if you will. And it's kind of a rebrand, but I like to look at it as a step forward, right? When I started this podcast, I used the name Reels. Now, for those of you who don't know what Reels means, I earned that road name a long time ago. And at the time, when I was creating this podcast, it actually made sense to use the name. It sounded right for the show, you know? And but the reality of it is, outside of club life and outside of the world, most people didn't know who the fuck Reels was. They know me as JT, and you know, that's kind of the name I've always had and go by. It's a nickname I've always used. So hence here we are, right? And this podcast was never meant to be designed for like a character, right? It's not a persona, it's not an act. It's just me. I'm a dude with a perspective, an opinion. I've got my own, life experiences, and, some good, some bad. I mean, I think at this point in life, I've got a lot of cool stories, and the things that I've gone through have made me the person that I am. So I like to, talk about a lot of different things. So the name change is more of a focus to become clearer, right? This is in the mind of JT moving forward. Because that's exactly what you're getting. You're getting JT. You're getting an unapologetic patriot, raw facts and truth coming from me, right? And, I'd rather have somebody be a straight shooter with me than, kind of blow smoke up my arse, right? So that's kind of where I'm at. So I on top of that, I actually outgrew my old setup. Now it's just that simple. I was actually doing the podcast out of my spare bedroom, and I had it set up nice, and it was it did its thing, and it got me running, and I did about 20 episodes prior to this particular episode. And you know what? The lighting was off, was kind of crowded. So this is me stepping up my game, if you will. So, it did its thing, but, like I said, I wanted to build something that actually meant or kind of matched where my head is at, right? And I'm all about growing and pushing forward and upgrading. And so I built a dedicated studio in my backyard. Well, I didn't do the building because if you know me, I don't like doing manual labor. I don't like, I'll pay somebody to do that shit for me. So, but, believe it or not, I got this studio. I actually got it as a shed. It was a 10 by 12 shed. And I also bought a bar shed that was also a 10 by 12, and I converted them, and I made it my own. So I'm really digging it. Totally spent time and money to really design it to the way that made me comfortable. So I'm really digging the scenario. So bigger space, better production, more cameras, because at the end of the day, if you're going to do something, you got to do it right. So that's kind of where I'm in. Now, I'll tell you, my mission hasn't changed one bit. Every topic is still on the table. Politics, culture, loyalty, power, accountability. The difference now is the execution and direction that I want to go. Higher level, sharper focus, a bigger vision. And if you ain't growing in life, right, then you're fucking up. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. So whether you're new here or you've been locked in with the early stages of the early days, me in my bedroom running the podcast, welcome to the next chapter, yo. Welcome to the next chapter. And for those of you who are new, well, buckle up, because this is in the mind of JT. And I got a lot of shit to say, yo. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. You ever get to that point where you think you start creating something and you think something sounds cool at the time, but then you realize clarity matters. Clarity matters when you're creating things. And I want to grow without apology, because when you're trying to build something, you're going to make some mistakes along the way. And it's all about life lessons and kind of figuring out what works, doesn't work. So that's why I'm kind of building from there, No regrets about my early episodes. I'm extremely grateful for the people who helped me out and helped me get to this point. It's been a great ride, but to me, stagnation is failure, right? And you can fail on things, but it's how you get up, you get back up and get back at it. So I want to kind of switch direction here a little bit, because I tell you what, if you guys have been watching, then you'll know the world is loud right now. And I think most of it's lying. We have a lot of information, and somehow, through all this information that's being thrown in at us by the media and everything, we're somehow getting less and less truth from things, right? It's really weird. The headlines will say things without the context of things, right? And it's more of like shock media, it's absolute bullshit. It's like, who's the first ones that can report on this? Speed is essential to them over being accurate, right? Who's the first one on the scene? And then of course people are reacting through emotions, right? They're reacting through emotions instead of actually thinking critically. And I'm seeing a lot of this, and I think that's how the media has kind of manipulated a lot of a lot of the public these days. I mean, it's kind of like a selective outrage, right? Have you noticed somehow stories never stop, and then others disappear overnight? And it's all planned. Media plans this shit. The government plans this shit. And the thing is, people like you and I, who are just normal everyday people, we have no say in what the fuck goes on, right? We just have to tolerate this nonsense over and over and over again. And I'll be the first to admit, some of this shit I hear on TV and see, I get pissed the fuck off, man. I get absolutely frustrated with all the stuff that's happening, and we can't do anything about it. The media feeds the information, and we're just sheep to be herded, and have to try to decipher what's truth from facts, right? And it's just absolutely ridiculous to me, dude. So I'm starting to see that power protects power. Let me give you a for instance. We have all these people in power, the Senate, the Congress. We have all these people who are making legislation and making decisions. Most of them, both on the left and right, let's be honest, are fucking crooks. They're all in it. They're all in it, right? How is it that we can go to Venezuela overnight and take out a dictator and his wife with no casualties, but we somehow can't fucking indict these crooks in Congress and in the Senate? Why is it we can go do an amazing seizure and get a dictator out of power, him and his wife, within 24 hours, but yet somehow here in the United States, we can't get these old fucking bastards like Pelosi, Maxine Waters, all these freaking dirtbags. We can't get them out of power. I don't understand. So that's what I'm saying. We're at the point where power protects power, and I don't know why we're so ass backwards on this shit. Most of you know I'm a huge Trump supporter, okay? Most of you know I'm a huge fucking Trump supporter. I love the guy to death. But I tell you what, he's kind of fucking dropping the ball right now, and I'm getting frustrated. I'm getting extremely frustrated with how he's handling matters. Pam Bondi, she's been saying from day one, indictments and arrests are going to start happening. I haven't seen shit. I haven't seen shite. And, it's hard to consistently, follow and have someone's back like Trump and not get frustrated by the lack of, right? Don't get me wrong, I'm still a Trump supporter, but I got to tell you, if he doesn't change his course of action here soon, we're going to lose the midterms, and his last 2 years, nothing is going to get done. As a matter of fact, the Dems will probably come up with some more impeachment bullshit, and it's just going to be ridiculous. So I think the trust is starting to erode with patriots. I think we're just so fed up with all the bullshit that's happening from both sides, the lack of transparency, the lack of just genuine honesty and people reporting on this shit. Like CNN, the Fox News, MSNBC, this isn't news. This isn't journalism. It's more of a an opinion based. It's opinion based, and each media platform is gonna basically lean to the side that they want, right? They're gonna flip the script to make it what they want, and that's opinion. That's not fucking facts. I actually remember when CNN used to be actually good journalism. We're talking back in the 80s, and when they actually fucking were reporting on real life shit and being honest with people. So now all we get now is conflicting narratives from everybody, dude. So how do you decipher what's real and what's not? You do that by sourcing out your own info, collecting the intelligence yourself, and coming up with your own opinion. That's why I say this is an opinion-based society that we're living in now, because we're not really fed the truth. We're fed little morsels of things, and then we're left trying to figure out what's really happening. So it's just frustrating all around, and I think it's boiling over. And I honestly think that midterms is going to be a huge deciding fact on how the Trump administration moves forward. Because, like I said, I've voted for Trump 3 times. I've had this fucker's back from day one, and even I am getting fucking frustrated with the nonsense that's happening in the administration. Yeah, we took out a dictator in Venezuela. Hey, great job, no casualties. Now we have this huge oil reserve that we have access to now. I mean, it's a stunning victory for the U.S. So I'm not bitching about that, but let's start focusing on what the fuck's happening in the United States with all this fraud and this corruption and these, unbelievably evil people running the show. That's what I want to see. I want to see fucking heads roll in our own fucking United States here. You know what I'm saying? In our own government. I want to see motherfucking arrests. I want to see people in fucking handcuffs. I don't want to just hear people talking about it. I want to see some fucking deliberate action, yo. Seriously. Anyways, I'm just getting kind of fired up thinking about this shit because, I mean, like I said, we as normal fucking everyday, citizens, can't do anything about it. We take it in the ass every fucking day, and we can't do anything about it. So you just gotta keep your head down and stay focused on what matters, right? Family, work, and having fun. Those things matter to me. Because I tell you what, I just saw a buddy of mine that I've known over 20 years. He's in the hospital right now. And I absolutely hate seeing him the way he was today. So it made me realize that the things that I've been focusing on have been the wrong things. I'm very into politics. Why? It's such a it's something that I can't deal with. Like, I can't make changes. Okay, I can go vote and do my thing, but why am I so focused on politics, on things that I can't control? And again, it's just sometimes we get sidetracked. So when I saw my bro in a hospital bed today, it just made me click again. I needed to zone back in and refocus on the things that mattered. Because I'm 52 years old. I could, that could be me in the hospital, and, I've lived more than half my life already. Well, why am I focusing on the wrong things? So seeing him really kind of brought me back to reality. And so I need to focus on family, money, health, and just living ultimately a good life. And that's kind of where I'm trying to go. And, that's not to say that I can't be proactive and talk about things that I'm passionate about. Strength these days is considered toxic to some people. And it's just irresponsible. I think a strength can be very valuable to people, and inner strength, physical strength, and having both of those things, I think, is really a key to having a good life. So you can be strong, physically, but internally, if you're mentally weak, then you're unbalanced, right? So I like to think I have a very strong inner strength. But physically, yeah, I feel like I'm strong, but am I really? Like, I've kind of let myself go over the years. When I was in the Marine Corps, I got down to 150 pounds and I was pure fucking muscle. Now I'm a 52-year-old overweight man. And, it's like I don't have the physical strength that I should, right? But I have the inner strength. So it's just a matter of trying to find those things. I mean, look back in the day, back in the 20s when, strong men were building, the United States. These motherfuckers, dude, you didn't see fucking overweight people back in the day. No. These motherfuckers were working hard. You got kids working, at 12 years old doing man shit, doing things men should do. That's how society was built. We don't have those things these days, dude. And, it's unfortunate. I think we've come a long way. But, these days there seems to be a lot of victim mentality. And, I've spoken about that before, victim mentality, right? So it's just something I choose not to be. I will never be a victim. For some reason, people think being a victim is more valuable than being accountable for one's actions, right? So I don't know, man. We're living in crazy times, and I just think a lot of things need to change. I don't know about you, but I'm not one that wants to use excuses. If you fuck up, you fuck up. Take it on the chin and be accountable. Bottom line. I recently fucked up with some of my friends, and you know what? I took it. I took it on the chin. I made a wrong decision. I said some wrong things that I probably shouldn't have, and you know what? I'm not going to sit and complain about it. I owned it. I fucked up. I took the consequences, and you move on. That's what men do, yo. That's what fucking men do. So a lot of men, for some reason, don't think in those terms. So I don't know. I got a lot of things to say, and sometimes the things I say don't always come out how they should. But it is what it is, right? In a world that avoids responsibility, you always got to take ownership for every radical act, and that's just how it is. You got to have personal standards. You have to have self-respect, quiet confidence. You got to earn respect, right? You got to earn that place. You don't just get it freely. So let me say a few more things before I wrap this up. If you can't define it, then people should stop legislating it. Okay? And I'm talking about these crooked politicians. If being offended makes you right, then you're going to be disappointed a lot in life. What makes one offended? Honestly. Why would you ever be offended by words? I've never understood that. Words don't hurt you, right? So if you're offended, being offended means you're a very weak person. You shouldn't be offended by what people say. It's just words, bro. Just words. And here's something right here that I kind of struggle with myself. And my brother, the pond digger, will definitely agree with me on this next thing that I'm about to say. Comfort, it kills more dreams than failure ever will. It really does. Because I take it back to the physical strength, right? Like, I absolutely hate exercising. I hate it. And I'd rather be comfortable and then not put myself through the pain of exercising. You know, being in the Marine Corps, I mean, I could tell you some horror stories, right? But comfort kills dreams. It really does. If I wanted to get physically fit again, then what I need to do is step out of my comfort. I need to put myself in a situation that's going to bring me pain. And not everybody likes to do that, okay? But I tell you, again, comfort kills more dreams than failure ever will. And I gotta take my own advice and heed my own words. Another thing, silence is easier than honesty. That's why people choose it. Because people don't want to be honest for fear of hurting one's feelings. That's plain and simple. I pride myself on being a very honest individual, a man of integrity. But, we all miss the mark sometimes. So silence is easier than being honest. Some people just want to stay on the wayside and not say the hard things that should be said. That's one of the reasons why I created this podcast, because I wanted a platform to speak of things that, might, how can I say this? That might, I don't want to say offend people, because I don't go out of my way intentionally to offend people. But I like to speak freely. I like to say things that people don't like to hear. I like to be in a position to where I can speak freely. And, regardless of the repercussions, I think that's how we should all live. Take off the fucking, baby gloves and just be honest. And I'll heed my own advice too, because sometimes I miss the mark. If I'm close to somebody, I don't want to hurt my very dear friend's feelings. I don't want to hurt their feelings. So that's where sometimes it comes into play with me. Sometimes I miss the mark. But I tell you what, I would rather be honest and upfront with things than be silent. Another thing, strong opinions come from strong principles, not loud voices, right? And I grew up in the 70s and the 80s. I was a latchkey kid. We grew up. My brother and I both grew up in kind of a hard way. We had to kind of take care of ourselves. We didn't have cell phones. We didn't have pagers back then. We didn't have computers. So we became independent. We became strong-willed. We had to make our own decisions. And part of that was having strong opinions. But those strong opinions gave us strong principles. And we don't have to be the loudest voices in the room, but we want to be heard. So another thing, and this is one thing right here that absolutely drives me nuts with a lot of the people in society. If you fucking hate the system so much, then don't depend on it. Don't fucking depend on it. You got to pick a lane. If you're going to talk so much shit about living here and being here, but you'll take the money. You'll depend on that, you'll depend on that shit. If you hate the system so fucking much, then leave. This is the bottom line. Fucking leave. That shit drives me fucking nuts. You want to bitch and complain about how fucking fucked up the system is, but you're the first one in line to take the fucking money from the system. Fucking doesn't make sense, yo. You can't have both. Anyways, that's all I got to say about that. The show is growing, and I'm trying to build it the right way. Long term, with honesty and intention. A lot of you might not like the things I have to say, and that's fine. But I'm going to keep being me, and I'm going to keep growing on something that means something to me. And that's about it. That's going to do it for this episode of In the Mind of JT. If you like what I'm doing and you want to, keep listening, please subscribe and follow and share my podcast with others. And share it with those who can actually handle the truth. Fuck it. Share it with those who can't. I don't mind. Fuck it. Fuck it. Let's rage bait some motherfuckers, okay? One last thing is, look, I'm going to drop episodes regularly. And, every episode that I do hits YouTube within 24 hours. Part of my forward progress is getting my previous episodes on Spotify and iTunes and all those other platforms. And I can assure you it's in the works as we speak. Trying to upload 20 plus episodes, it takes time, yo. It takes time. But in the meantime, you can catch up on every episode that I've done up to this one on YouTube. You can follow me on Facebook, Instagram. You can find me under JT space triplet. I'm around. Okay? Anyways, do what makes you happy, yo. This is JT signing off. Ride safe, live free, and don't take shit from anyone. Peace.